You know, the issue isn't that we have a socialist coming to the White House today to meet with President Donald Trump. The issue is that we have 98 socialists in the U.S. House of Representatives who refuse to decry socialism. Like, literally, they will not condemn the horrors of socialism. And we know that because, well, there was a vote on the floor and 98 Democrats said, nah, socialism, nah, we're good. I get it. This party, man, between Jasmine Crockett and, well, the rest of them, I mean, it's really between the seditious six, as they're now being called, who decided to go out and urge the military to defy the orders of the commander-in-chief just because they don't like the guy, and Jasmine Crockett, who's out there saying everybody got money from Jeffrey Epstein. Doesn't matter that it wasn't that Jeffrey Epstein. You know, there's a lot of Jeffrey, very common name. Epstein or Epstein, also a very common name. And apparently there's a lot of Jeffrey Epsteins or Epsteins out there who like to give a lot of money to a lot of different political candidates. And Jasmine Crockett, of which, God, I feel bad for anyone who has the name Jasmine Crockett these days. In the old days, I used to feel bad for anyone who was named Jeffrey Epstein but wasn't that Jeffrey Epstein. Now I feel bad for anybody named Jasmine Crockett who ain't that Jasmine Crockett, because it's just one of those, you know, probably the way a lot of people feel when they go, your name's Mark K? Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. But anyway, listen, we got a whole bunch of stuff going on today. Big news before we get to the communists in Congress, before we get to the communists at the White House, and before we get to whatever Jasmine Crockett is, I do want to urge you to do a couple of things. Number one, subscribe to this channel, subscribe to the podcast. We've had couple of issues with our podcasting platform this morning. They're looking into it. The technicians, I'm told, are aware of the situation and they're working diligently to remedy it and create a fix. Till then, you may not have been able to access the 47 Daily Podcast today. We're not sure if this podcast is going to be up in a timely fashion. Eventually, it will get up. In the meantime, whenever you're listening to it, whether it's today, tomorrow, or a year from now, you should subscribe, because there's just going to be more great stuff coming at you single day, which means every single day if you're not one of the cool kids. But before we get into any of that, the other thing we need to talk about is that it's Cha-Ching Chat Friday. Thank you. A little delayed reaction, which means that if you send us a Rumble rant or a super chat on YouTube, you're going to set off the cha-chinger. I don't know why it's so slow today. You're going to set off the cha-chinger, and the cha-chinger will allow you to have whatever message you attach to your Rumble rant or super chat read by the host of the show, which is me, on the program. So it's great. It's a great way. It's fun. First of all, just $5 or more will set off the cha-chinger. And then, of course, whatever message you put, if it's a holiday greeting, if it's a special message, if it's memorandum, if it's some kind of, I don't even know. Look, if it's something that is self-promotional, I'm all about self-promotion. I'm a big fan of self-promotion. So don't even stress about it. I'm here for it. But that's what we got going on all day today. And you can start anytime you want. It'll just break into the program. The cha-chinger will go off, and that'll be my I guess you would say cue to mention your cha-ching chat as we go live. Now, I should also point out that next Friday is Black Friday, and we won't be live. I made an executive decision. We'll be live every day next week except for Thursday, which is Thanksgiving. And we won't be live on Friday, which is Black Friday, the day after Thanksgiving. And so because there's going to be lots of turkey to eat and wine to drink and football to watch and stuff to buy, and because the family's going to be gathered around, and I think we're getting a tree, and it's one of those things. And my wife has the whole thing planned out. Like, it's all planned out. I'm just bringing the credit card. I'm just bringing the Amex. But we're going to have a blast. And so Friday, next week, we won't have a Cha-Ching Chat Friday. So I would urge you today, if you're like, you know what, I'll just Cha-Ching Chat next week. Ain't going to be no next week. You should do it today and set off the Cha-Chinger and support the show. Because again, all super chats, all Rumble rants, they go right back into this program. And they allow us to keep bringing you this great information and entertainment every single day. At least I think it's great. And I think it's entertaining, and so does my mom. So there you go. So the two of us are, usually one of us is right whenever that happens. All right, breaking news. Democrats love socialism. At least 98 of them do.
Just showing this from the Hill right now. This is a measure to condemn socialism. The vote is still being tabulated, but Of note, the 4 leading Democrats in the House voted with Republicans to condemn socialism, yet 96 Democrats voted no. So those are the Democrats that voted with Republicans: Jeffries and Catherine Clark, Pete Aguilar and Ted Lieu. So that vote is in, and the big meeting happens in a couple hours, White House, with the Democratic Socialists out of New York meeting with President Trump today.
Yeah, the final number was 98, by the way. Here it is. Roll call 305 HR 58. And look, there's nothing really into this bill. This is a simple up and down question on agreeing to the resolution denouncing the horrors of socialism. That's the gist of it right there. What is this vote about? Oh, this vote is about denouncing the horrors of socialism. Are you going to denounce the horrors of socialism or not? Well, check this out. Votes by party. Okay. 86 Democrats voted, all right, yeah, we'll denounce socialism. But 98 of them voted, nah, we don't want to denounce the horrors of socialism. We're perfectly fine with the horrors of socialism. 27 of them didn't vote at all. Republicans, 199 yes, 0 nays, and 20 not voting. So at least no Republican said, I do not want to denounce the horrors of socialism. The majority of them said, yeah, we're gonna go ahead and that's a good idea. Socialism sucks. But Democrats, some of them, 90, almost 100 Democrats serving in the House of Representatives. And remember, there's only 212 of them. So this is almost half of the Democrat Party said, we're okay with the horrors of socialism. We're okay with the horrors of socialism and communism and the terrible things that it brings on. Do you denounce the horrors of socialism? No! Why not? We're Democrats. We friggin' love it. We just nominated and elected a socialist in New York City. We just nominated and elected a socialist in Seattle and Portland and all over the country. Socialism is taken over. It's the new hotness. Socialism is the new capitalism to the Democrat Party. So, of course, when you bring a resolution saying, hey, do you denounce socialism? 98 representatives are going to say, no way, Jose. Oh, look at that. That was a short cha-ching. Hang on. We got our very first cha-ching chat in already. Thank you so much. This is from Ernest Hatfield. Ernest, thank you for being here again, and thank you so much for your cha-ching chat. We really appreciate it. Ernest is dropping dimes. $10 from Ernest Hatfield. Our very first cha-ching chat on this cha-ching chat Friday. He says, you cannot escape the responsibility of tomorrow by evading it today. Abraham Lincoln. No, Mark, not a big Kennedy fan, just love the quotes. I didn't mean to disparage you by accusing you of being a Kennedy fan. The man has some great quotes. And like I always say, Kennedy probably would have been a Republican if he were alive today. I mean, he still would have been kind of, a lech, but he would have been a Republican had he been alive today. Ernest, thank you so much for that very first cha-ching chat. And thanks for kicking us off today, this Friday. We really appreciate it. All right, let's get to Jasmine Crockett, shall we? Jasmine, I don't know what I'm supposed to do with my life, Crockett. Jasmine Crockett is from Houston, Texas. She's a representative. We're not really sure how that happened, but it happened. She's said ridiculous things for the past few years. She said that Ted Cruz should be punched in the face. She said that Elon Musk should be taken down for her birthday. She has urged violence against Republicans, and she's been basically just a ridiculous and ignorant person. I don't know if it's by design. I don't know if that's her character. Some people have questioned who this Jasmine Crockett is that serves in Congress because she doesn't seem anything like the Jasmine Crockett that they knew growing up in Houston. So anyway, Jasmine Crockett's new thing is attacking people for accepting money, attacking Republicans, I should say, for accepting money from people named Jeffrey Epstein who are not Jeffrey Epstein. That's the new thing. Jasmine Crockett that's the big well, there's a couple things. First of all, before we even get to the Jeffrey Epstein stuff, she's mad that Stacey Plaskett had to face censure because she thinks, it's not against the law for Stacey Plaskett to be texting during a committee meeting. It's not against the law for Stacey Plaskett to be texting with Jeffrey Epstein, a convicted child molester and other, all around bad person. It's not against the law for any of that stuff. and it's not immoral. And the reason why people are mad with Stacey Plaskett, the reason why Stacey Plaskett faced a censure vote, which failed, is because she's black and we're all racists.
Because I'm sorry, but like, we don't have ethical like rules that say that you can't receive text messages or you can't respond to text messages, especially if somebody has a certain record and you can't do it in committee. We all be sitting on our phones, and yes, people be texting. I mean, our staff texts us, like everybody texts us, like people. I remember when I had the bleach blonde situation, you know who was texting me? My pastor. Okay. So like, let me be clear. There is no ethical violation. And so the idea or the audacity to decide that you want to strip a black woman of her committee assignment because she was texting with Epstein.
I'm sorry. I don't know what she's talking about with her when she went bleach blonde. Her pastor was texting her on the floor of Congress. I don't know what when I had that bleach blonde situation, and she makes it sound like it was an accident, like she accidentally became a bleach blonde one day. She's like, when I had that bleach blonde situation, where was that? Let me play that part again.
It's like everybody texts us, like people. I remember when I had the bleach blonde situation, you know who was texting me? My pastor. Okay.
Okay. So I gotta Google. Hold on. I got it. Jasmine Crockett bleach blonde situation. And she says it like it's an illness. She says it like she caught it. Oh, I caught bleach blondness. I'm trying to find it here. I don't even see a Jasmine Crockett. Let me just do blonde. I'll take out situation. I'll just say Jasmine Crockett blonde and see what happens. All I get is pictures of her and Marjorie Taylor Greene. So, I'm not sure what she's talking about, but apparently she had a bleach blonde situation and her pastor was texting her, which I have problems with as well. If you're in a committee meeting, if you're supposed to be listening, if you're at work, why are you texting your pastor about the hair? And why is your pastor texting you about your hair color? Is that weird? Is that not bizarro to anybody else? Does your pastor comment on your looks? Does your pastor comment on your hair color or your hairstyle? Is that like a thing that I thought pastors were spiritual advisors. I didn't know they were, there's follicle advisors. Is that like a new thing? My priest, by the way, we text back and forth, but usually it's not about anything regarding my hair. I mean, I don't have any. Fun fact though, neither does he. So hair's not our thing. But we talk about, religion and politics and can I help with this fundraiser? And, are you coming to church? And why were you so angry? And that kind of thing. So what I was getting at is you should just not text with anybody when you're doing your job. And she thinks that Stacey Plaskett being censured isn't because she was texting with Jeffrey Epstein, but because she's black and everybody's racist. And if you question her texting on the floor of Congress with a convicted pedophile, it's racist. Not that it's immoral because he's a convicted pedophile. Not because it's immoral because she's cross-examining Michael Cohen, Donald Trump's former attorney, in an effort to try to get Donald Trump because she hates him. That's not the issue at all. It's all just racist. Anytime you think or say anything, it's racist, basically. If you think something bad about a black woman like Stacey Plaskett, you're basically just a racist, is what Jasmine Crockett's trying to say. But I digress. The bleach blonde situation is about Marjorie Taylor Greene and her infighting. Oh, I got it. I see. I thought Jasmine Crockett was bleach blonde at one point. That's funny. Okay, that's even better. Well, now I like it even better. All right, I'll give her that. But at the same time, don't be texting with your pastor when you should be working. The second part about that is that she is now trying to accuse people of accepting money from Jeffrey Epstein when it's not that Jeffrey Epstein. Oh, wait a minute. Before we get to that noise, here is Mariah. Look at that. She's got a cha-ching chat. We want Mark in Congress and absolutely no socialism and no communism. We have to save America. Mariah, that is very... Mariah, first of all, thank you so much for your cha-ching chat. Thank you so much for your support. We really do appreciate that. And Mark K in Congress is a necessity. Mark K in Congress means absolutely no socialism and absolutely no communism. We do have to save America. And we appreciate, and you're helping, by the way. You're helping not just by being here, but by also with your very generous cha-ching chat today. We thank you so much for that. And I promise, oh my God, look at that. I promise when I get to Congress, there will be no communism whatsoever, at least from my little area of the woods. Vegas Jacks 13. Mark, wishing you and your family a blessed Thanksgiving. Keep up the great work you do for all of us. Vegas Jacks 13, thank you so much. I appreciate it. And I will do my best to keep up the great work. That is a very generous cha-ching chat we got through the Rumble for $20, man. I love that. That's going to keep us going. It's going to keep us going for a while. Every little bit helps, folks. Every little bit helps. Every little bit helps the cause. And the cause is to keep this country free, keep this country moral, keep this country constitutional, and to keep all of our elected officials in check and not let them get away with corruption or taking advantage of the situation or misrepresenting you when they pledged to represent you in a way that would make you proud. All right, so Jasmine Crockett from Texas. She went on the House floor and she lied about Republicans who got money from Jeffrey Epstein.
Folks who also took money from somebody named Jeffrey Epstein, as I had my team dig in very quickly: Mitt Romney, the NRCC, Lee Zeldin, George Bush, Win Red, McCain Palin, Rick Lazio. I just want to be clear. If this is the standard that we're going to make, just know we're going to expose it all. And just know that the FEC filings, they are available for everybody to review. This is absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah, that is ridiculous because she's basically lying. It is ridiculous. Anytime Jasmine Crockett opens her mouth, it is ridiculous. It is ridiculous. It is redonkulous. It is ignorant and stupid, and it is a lie. You cannot listen to Jasmine Crockett and expect to hear any semblance of the truth at any time in your life. She said, these are a list of people, Republicans, who also took money from somebody named Jeffrey Epstein. Mitt Romney, Lee Zeldin, George Bush, McCain Palin, Win Red, Rick Lazio. She went on and on and on. Well, the fact of the matter is, she's right. They took money from somebody named Jeffrey Epstein, but it wasn't the Jeffrey Epstein. And she knew very well, very, very well what she was up to when she was up to it. Well, Lee Zeldin, who ran for governor of New York and should have won but didn't, is now the EPA commissioner. He's a part of the cabinet, doing a bang-up job deregulating pretty much the entire world, making it cheaper for American companies and factories to do pretty much whatever they want. And that is and he's in a really great position. He's a great guy for it. But Lee Zeldin responded, as you might imagine, to Jasmine Crockett's falsehood that he took money from Jeffrey Epstein, the convicted pedophile.
Well, so the reason why Jasmine Crockett would go to the floor in the first place and be lying is because she's done it a lot in the past and they get away with it. So the thought is you take the cheap shot, there's not going to be any pushback, and it's a free hit on the right to change the narrative. The problem is that you better come at us with facts and truth, or you're going to end up regretting it. In this case, they say there's no picture of the donor, Jeffrey Epstein. Well, that's true on FEC.gov, but what it does say for occupation is that this person was a physician. What it does say is the date of the donation, and date of donation was after that other Jeffrey Epstein was already dead. Now, why would Jasmine Crockett go on CNN and what happened last night? Well, that's just about doubling down on stupid. That was a word salad that makes Kamala Harris sound like William Shakespeare. What happened on that CNN appearance was just an embarrassment in trying to clean up something where everybody knows common sense is that you're just supposed to own up to it. You made a mistake, you got called out for it. She didn't expect to get called out for it, but again, if you're coming at us, you better come at us with truth and facts, because we're going to push back.
Yeah, we're going to push back. You got to come with truth and facts, or we're going to push back. And the truth of the matter is that Lee Zeldin took no money from Jeffrey Epstein, convicted pedophile. And Jasmine Crockett, she's saying, well, we Googled it and they don't have pictures in the FEC. We didn't know if it was pictures. Yeah, well, guess what? They do have occupation. And I know this because when I collected donations from people, if you go to my website, markkforcongress.com, and you make a donation, guess what it's going to ask you for? Your occupation. And we know that the occupation of the Jeffrey Epstein that Lee Zeldin got money from was neurosurgeon. It was a neurosurgeon. Here we go. Hold on. Let me fix this a little bit because I'm a little bit off. Why am I not? Hang on. Bear with me. I want to make sure that everybody can read this. I want to make sure that the whole thing is, there we go, is readable. And now I got to fix my camera. There we go. All right. So here's the story from the New York Post. Dr. Jeffrey Epstein, the Long Island neurosurgeon Jasmine Crockett, confused with notorious pedophile. She didn't confuse. Floats epic revenge he could exact on the Congresswoman. Dr. Jeffrey Epstein, the Long Island neurosurgeon who Representative Crockett suggested could be the notorious sex trafficker, told the Post Thursday about the master stroke of revenge he could dish out on the loudmouthed Congresswoman who dragged his name through the mud. I think that I should contribute money to Jasmine Crockett and then let everybody know that she also took money from Jeffrey Epstein, Dr. Epstein told the Post. That is a man right after my own heart. He goes, oh yeah, you think it's funny to lie about Lee Zeldin taking money from Jeffrey Epstein? Guess what? I'm going to write a check to your campaign, and then it's going to be on the FEC record that you too took money from Jasmine Crockett, or from Jeffrey Epstein. Crockett boasted on the House floor this week that she was going to expose it all after her discovery that somebody named Jeffrey Epstein donated to the campaign of former Representative Lee Zeldin. In her rant, the Texas Democrat strongly implied that the Manhasset doctor's April and August 2020 contributions to Zeldin, who is now head of the Environmental Protection Agency, were actually from the convicted pedophile, despite the fact that the $1,000 donations were made months after the disgraced financier died in a Manhattan jail cell. Until she said something, it was never an issue, Epstein said when asked if he's ever been confused for the well-connected sex criminal in the past. I say my name and sometimes people will give me a look or whatever, he acknowledged. I always look at them and say, I don't understand. And I make it like I'm dumb, he said. Listen, that's my name. Epstein continued, seemingly annoyed by the fuss over his name. If my name was Jeffrey Dahmer when the whole thing came out, do you think that would be a problem? He added. Listen, anytime a doppelganger is tied to a less than desirable, it's never a good situation. But it doesn't matter to me. I couldn't care less. The only thing that bothers the doc about having the name Jeffrey Epstein is people like you calling to ask me these questions. Don't take that the wrong way, but you couldn't understand that. Otherwise, it doesn't bother me in the least. That is a guy with a sense of humor who has accepted his fate as being the other Jeffrey Epstein. And that is something that is hilarious. Now, see what Lee Zeldin was talking about with CNN was, and again, when you say something stupid, you should probably just shut up. But Jasmine Crockett doesn't do that. She goes back on TV and continues to talk. And as we know with Jasmine Crockett, talking, that doesn't ever work out well for her.
You mentioned Lee Zeldin there. He's now a cabinet secretary. He responded and said it was actually Dr. Jeffrey Epstein, who's a doctor that doesn't have any relation to the convicted sex trafficker. Unfortunate for that doctor, but that is who donated to a prior campaign of his. Do you want to correct the record on the people that
Listen, I never said that it was that Jeffrey Epstein. Just so that people understand, when you make a donation, your picture is not there. And because they decided to spring this on us in real time, I wanted the Republicans to think about what could potentially happen, because I knew that they didn't even try to go through the FEC. So my team, what they did is they Googled. And that is specifically why I said a Jeffrey Epstein. Unlike Republicans, I at least don't go out and just tell lies. Because it was not the same one, that's fine. But when Lee Zeldin had something to say, all he had to say was it was a different Jeffrey Epstein. He admitted that he did receive donations from a Jeffrey Epstein, so at least I wasn't trying to mislead people. Now, have I dug in to find out who this doctor is? I have not. So I will trust and take what he says, is that it wasn't that Jeffrey Epstein, but I was not attempting to mislead anybody. I literally had maybe 20 minutes before I had to do that debate.
Yeah, but people...
Yeah, she, by the way, is lying again. That's the thing. She's covering up her lies with lies. She said, I wasn't trying to deceive anybody, which she 100% was. And we know she was trying to deceive people because she was careless enough to accuse these people of accepting money from Jeffrey Epstein, but also she was cautious enough to make sure she said somebody named Jeffrey Epstein, not the Jeffrey Epstein notorious pedophile who is the subject of all of these documents. She was careless, but also careful, which means that her saying, I didn't mean to do any of this, is all BS. But of course, we know it's BS because it's coming from Jasmine Crockett. And she's never uttered a true word about Republicans in her life. I don't even know if her name is Crockett.
To then say, well, you're trying to make it sound like he took money from...
I did not know.
A registered sex offender.
No, but I literally did not know. When you search FEC files, and that's what I had my team to do, I texted them and I said, listen, we're going up. They are saying that she took donations.
Right, but someone might say, well, your team should have done the homework to make sure it wasn't the convicted sex trafficker.
Within 20 minutes, you could not find that out, not from just doing a quick search on FEC. So, number one, I made sure that I was clear that it was a Jeffrey Epstein, but I never said that it was specifically that Jeffrey Epstein, because I knew that we would need more time to really dig in.
Even Caitlin Collins is looking at her like she's a fool. I mean, when you lose Caitlin Collins, when Caitlin Collins is looking at you like you are so full of it, no, ain't nobody going to buy this. When Caitlin Collins is looking at you like that, you got problems. Okay. When you've lost CNN, you've reached a new low. You've reached a whole new level of dishonesty when CNN goes, oh, that's a stretch. I mean, these are CNN. These are the people that push the let's go back, the Steele dossier report about Donald Trump hiring prostitutes in Russia to do despicable things on a bed that Obama slept in. They pushed that report with Anderson Cooper, and now they're looking at Jasmine Crockett going, I don't know about that one. The Russian collusion hoax, both of the Donald Trump impeachments, the January 6th thing, all of it. They were like, Joe Biden being fit for office. They covered up for him for years until Jake Tapper realized there was more money in, telling the truth. And he wrote a book and stabbed the whole party in the back. CNN is looking at Jasmine Crockett going, we can't even believe you. We're not even lecherous and crooked enough to try to sell this crap that you're pushing as the truth. I don't even know if, Jasmine Crockett also in the House, she was blaming Donald Trump and the Republicans because they campaigned on the Jeffrey Epstein files being released, and Joe Biden did not. Listen to this.
We were gone for about 2 months because we couldn't talk about Jeffrey Epstein. And now everybody wants to act as if they want to have like a real honest conversation about the victims and the survivors and everybody else. Where was this conversation a long time ago? And I know that y'all love to go back and say that Joe Biden didn't do it. Joe Biden is blamed for everything. Joe Biden didn't do anything and it was Joe Biden's fault. And why wasn't Joe Biden didn't campaign on it? I just want to be clear. If y'all can run me the tape, then run me the tape. But when you campaign and you go out and you make a promise, then we evaluate whether or not you actually meet your promises. So listen, this was rope that y'all decided to hang yourselves with because the president campaigned on the Epstein files while we were campaigning on things such as affordability.
Yeah, I don't remember Kamala Harris campaigning on affordability. I remember her campaigning on no tax on tips, which she stole from President Donald Trump in Nevada. But here's the thing. Jasmine Crockett is now saying we never wanted to talk about the Epstein files. We never wanted it known that we never wanted you to know that Hakeem Jeffries, after Jeffrey Epstein was a convicted pedophile, reached out to him for help with his campaign and looked to campaign donations. We never wanted you to know, and now you know why. We never wanted you to know that Stacey Plaskett was texting with Jeffrey Epstein, who also gave her money. Basically, Jeffrey Epstein gave Stacey Plaskett money so he could buy himself a way into that committee meeting. And that's exactly what happened. He gave her enough money to get her elected, and then when she got there, she took his phone calls and text messages anytime because he controlled her. You're always controlled by the money that you accept. If you accept money from someone like Jeffrey Epstein thinks that he's going to be able to control you. And so that's where Stacey Plaskett's loyalty lied. It has nothing to do with racism. It has everything to do with crooked politics and politicians who were bought off by Jeffrey Epstein. But Jasmine Crockett and the Democrats, they did not want this out because the truth about Stacey Plaskett and the truth about Hakeem Jeffries and the truth about the rest of them, which is still going to be coming out soon, it's bad. The Clintons have been subpoenaed. Oh, hold on. Wait one second. We got to pause. Speaking of money, speaking of answering when the people who pay you call. Look, Ernest Hatfield with another cha-ching chat today. Ernest Hatfield, that's his second cha-ching chat. He writes, dropping dimes. Must have a hole in my pocket. LOL. Made my monthly donate to K's Kids. God bless you, Mark and Catriots. Ernest, thank you so much, man. I really appreciate it. That is very sweet of you. That is very nice of you. And we're so glad to have you as a Catriot every single week. Ernest has now made 2 cha-ching chats today. So if you're one of the people who has made 0 cha-ching chats, just know that Ernest has made 200% more cha-ching chats than you have. And I'm not trying to pit everybody against each other. That's a lie. That's exactly, I guess, I guess that's exactly what I guess that's exactly what I'm trying to do. Oh, wait, we got more. We got more coming in on the Rumble too. Look at this. We got a couple here. This is from Andrea Sarver, 72, who dropped a $10 cha-ching chat. Hi, Mark. Please promote my The Wheels on the Chair coloring book on Amazon, inspired by my life in a wheelchair to promote inclusion and disability awareness. Your K's kids would love it. Andrea Sarver, thank you so much. The Wheels on the Chair coloring book on Amazon, inspired by her and her real life in a wheelchair to promote inclusion and disability awareness. Andrea, thank you. I will 100% do that. Everybody go check out The Wheels on the Chair on Amazon. We have another one coming through here, it looks like. This one is, oh, check this out. This is New York installer with vehicle theft on, look at that, $50? Thank you very much, New York installer. That is super generous. With vehicle theft on the rise, it's time to go on the offensive. Go to iglausa.com to get your ride protected. John, authorized installer in the Dallas area. Oh, it says New York installer, but you're in the Dallas area. iglausa.com. For $50, we will not just promote your website, but we will promote your website. Let me pull it up here real. iglausa.com. If you're in the Dallas area and you're looking for look at all those pictures of integrated global logistics. Look at this. IGL connects businesses everywhere. If you're looking for a designated installer, John is an authorized installer in the Dallas area. So go check him out. iglausa.com. John, thank you so much. That's very cool, man. And we really appreciate your help. We appreciate everybody's help. We appreciate everybody's help and everybody who is part of the K-Treat Nation and who helps out every single week. All right, let's get back to Hakeem Jeffries here for a second, because Hakeem Jeffries, this guy, we got to get to the seditious six. We will, and we'll talk about Zohran Mamdani at the White House, because President Donald Trump was on with our buddy Brian Kilmeade earlier today, and he had some previews about what was going to happen when the commie hit the White House, hit the Oval Office. But basically, here's what we got. We got Hakeem Jeffries on CNBC. Losing his cool because he's still stuck in the past. Hakeem Jeffries, this guy, I kind of feel bad for him. He gets elected to Congress. He goes to Congress. He becomes the minority leader. He realizes pretty quickly, I have no clue what I'm doing. And he realizes pretty quickly, he's not the most popular or powerful person in the joint. There's a lot more people who are way more popular and way more powerful than Hakeem Jeffries is. And so Hakeem Jeffries, he basically kowtows to Chuck Schumer, kowtows to Nancy Pelosi, kowtows to AOC, and now he's like got Jasmine Crockett who's out there stealing his thunder. And I think Jasmine Crockett only started saying stupid stuff because she was sick and tired of Marjorie Taylor Greene, or that bleach blonde situation, stealing her thunder. So now Hakeem Jeffries is out there trying to figure out what to do to get power back, and he can't even do it. So he snapped on CNBC when they asked him a very simple question that he refused to answer.
To satiate, if you want to get done, you are going to need at least some Republicans to come over. Why not start with a one-year extension or potentially even a two-year extension?
Well, Leader Schumer offered a one-year extension in the context of trying to end the Trump Republican shutdown.
Yeah, but that's different. But I'm talking about what you have now. Let's not go back to what's done in the past and what has not been extended. If you want to get something that has actually done, you need to do something that will have bipartisanship.
You can ask me the question. You can ask me the question. I'll provide the answer.
Answer the question instead of going back.
I'll provide the answer. No. I'm providing an answer in order to provide context. Republicans have repeated.
Look at her face. Look at him. He's like, first of all, he's so defensive, man. He's like, you provide the question, lady, and I will provide the answer. And I'm trying to provide some context. And she's just like, oh my God. You can literally, the eye rolls are amazing. I love when they eye roll. Let's look at this.
I'll provide the answer.
Answer the question instead of going back.
I'll provide the answer. No. I'm providing an answer in order to provide context. Republicans have.
Oh my God! With this guy, look at her. It's so. It's classic. It's classic.
Repeatedly refused to take yes for an answer. It was a very reasonable multi-year extension that was offered. It was a one-year straight extension plus a multi-year process through a bipartisan commission to more permanently resolve the Affordable Care Act issue. So having that context is absolutely important. regardless of what you may think.
It's important context to make me realize that I don't think you want to get a deal done. I think this is something where you'd like to see the rates go higher and allow the Republicans to hang themselves with that. Is that the answer?
That's absolutely
politics?
That's absolutely a ridiculous assertion. And really, shame
3 years
on you.
is not going to get passed. So what do you do?
Shame on you for saying that, because we're fighting. It's not a partisan issue for us. In fact, the states that are most impacted as it relates to an Affordable Care Act tax credit expiration are all Republican states. We're talking about West Virginia, Wyoming, Alaska, Mississippi, right? Tennessee. Over and over and over again, we can go through the list. That's why you probably have some Republicans who would sign on if you guys could come up with something that actually looks like a bipartisan deal. Listen, this is not a partisan fight for us. It's a patriotic fight.
He's basically making her point. I don't understand. Are there no smart people in the Democrat Party? There used to be. Like, there used to be people in the Democrat Party who, sure, they were evil. They were no good. They were taking advantage of people. They were in it for their own self-promotion and their own financial gain and their own power grabs. They were in it for the wrong reasons. They didn't like America. They didn't like the Constitution. They didn't like any of it. But at least they had some intelligence. And here's Hakeem Jeffries, who's basically making her point. She says, it seems to me like you're trying to push a deal that Republicans can't sign on to in an effort to keep things unaffordable. Because if things are unaffordable, then that bodes well for the Democrats in the midterms, because people will say, well, I can't afford anything and the Republicans are in power. Let's switch parties. And he looks at her and says, that is shameful. Shame on you for even suggesting such a thing. But then he goes on to point out that it's the red states that are the least affordable. West Virginia, Mississippi, Tennessee. Yeah, that's exactly her point. She's saying you're trying to push votes to Democrats in red states by making the cost of living so out of reach. And you're doing it with these crappy deals that the Republicans are never going to take so that you can get some power back. And he basically proves her point. I don't know. I mean, is it that? I don't know. It just doesn't seem. You would think that before you said something, you would think. But I guess when you're a Democrat, thinking is secondary, because you typically what happens is they just have the media come to bat for them. And that's what happens with this whole Seditious Six thing. The Seditious Six, the media came to bat and took the story and ran with it the other way. They covered up the true story, which is Congress people and senators are urging the military to defy orders and commit, court-martial, or commit, I guess you would say, was it like a violation of their oaths? They want them to deny orders and ignore direct orders from their superiors if they think they're wonky. That is, as Donald Trump said, it's seditious behavior. It is treason. Stephen Miller called it an insurrection. Some people have said they're inspiring a coup d'etat, a military coup d'etat. It's not for the enlisted men and women in the services to make that decision. It's for the commanding officers and the commander-in-chief and the Sec War and the Joint Chiefs of Staff. It's for the leaders to make the decisions and the enlisted to carry out the orders. But now you've got this Seditious Six, and they've turned everything upside down. And the media is covering for them. And we know that because yesterday in the press briefing, which we all watched together, Caroline Leavitt was asked about it, and she pointed out to the media, why aren't you reporting the real story?
Caroline, can I just follow up? The president and the vice president, for that matter, have accused the other side of encouraging political violence. Isn't that exactly what the president is doing when he says that members of Congress should be killed?
Why aren't you talking about what these members of Congress are doing to encourage and incite violence? They are literally saying to 1.3 million active duty service members not to defy the chain of command, not to follow lawful orders.
Actually,
every single
you can refuse an illegal order, which
but
is
they're suggesting, Nancy, that the president has given illegal orders, which he has not. Every single order that is given to this United States military by this commander-in-chief and through this chain of command, through the Secretary of War, is lawful. And the courts have proven that. This administration has an unparalleled record at the Supreme Court because we are following the laws. We don't defy court orders. We do things by the books. And to suggest and encourage that active duty service members defy the chain of command is a very dangerous thing for sitting members of Congress to do. and they should be held accountable. And that's what the president wants to see.
And instead of holding them accountable, and instead of saying, whoa, wait a minute, this is really irresponsible behavior, and it could be illegal behavior, instead of watching that TikTok video or Instagram, I don't even know where they released it originally, but instead of looking at these 6 morons and saying, wait a minute, you guys all served in the military, now you serve in Congress, don't you think you shouldn't be encouraging the military to defy orders? Could you even give an example of an order that was illegal that Donald Trump gave that somebody was questioning, or that somebody went through with and they felt moral obligation to report it? No, there's nothing. Not a single order that President Donald Trump, that Pete Hegseth, that the commanders in chief, that anyone has given in the military since Donald Trump returned to power has been unlawful. And it's not the military men and women's job to decide what is lawful and what isn't, because last time I checked, you don't pass the bar exam when you enlist. You go to basic training and then that's it. You go fight. Unless you're in the JAG Corps or, some other such, military tribunal, you don't really have that legal training. But yet you're supposed to make these legal determinations before you run into battle? It's ridiculous. And the media is covering for the Democrats. And the worst is MSNBC and Morning Joe, who actually had Mark Kelly on. And you actually will believe what he said. But I think the cha-chinger's about to go off. Yep, there it is. Before we get to Mark Kelly trying to defend himself for encouraging a military coup d'etat against President Donald Trump. Before we get to that, let's get to some of these cha-ching chats that are just rolling in here. We've got Stephanie Winter, who wrote, $5 super chat, or cha-ching chat. We appreciate that. You dissed my Kansas City Chiefs this week, so I'm paying to make you say Kansas City Chiefs are awesome. I did diss your Kansas City Chiefs last week, and they lost, as I recall. Hold on, let me double check. Yes, they lost. so I appreciate it, and I did say the Kansas City Chiefs are awesome, but I only did it for the money. Who do they play this week? I don't know. Let's be honest, they'll probably lose again. We got another one rolling in. Look at this. The cha-chinger is working overtime. I got to oil it. What is happening with the size here? Pardon me. Something happened with the size of the. Oh no! Where's my cha-ching chat? Now what's happening? Now for some reason I lost it. Let me see if there we go. Perfect. But I got to make it a little bit smaller because it's too big on the screen. We got a cha-ching chat from. This is Jennifer Lawson. Jennifer Lawson dropped a cha-ching chat, and she writes. Let me see what she writes here. I was on Obamacare. Oh, $20. Woo. Jennifer Lawson, super generous. We really appreciate it. I was on Obamacare years ago, and it's true what they say about it. I was in the hospital, and it came to $15,000. Obama deductible $6,000, and out of pocket was $6,000, so I had to pay for it. Insurance paid nothing. There are lots of problems with Obamacare, and they knew that when they passed Obamacare, but they passed Obamacare anyway, and they told everybody, you got to pass it to know what's in it. Then everybody started going on it, and they realized, wow, nobody could afford it. So they passed these subsidies so that they could mask how ineffective a program it was. And now that the subsidies have expired, they need to get new subsidies. But it's very difficult because, again, nobody likes Obamacare. Even Barack Obama, I think he's mad that. I think Barack Obama's mad. He's like, don't put my name on it. Oh, look at this. We got some more cha-ching chats coming in on the Rumble. Tired of this stuff, dropped $5 and said, from Las Vegas, Formula One race down Las Vegas Strip. Amazing visuals and great fun. If you have never watched, please do. I didn't know they had a Formula One race. I think I did know they had a Formula One race down the Las Vegas Strip, and I would love to go see that one day. Maybe one day. I'll make it there. Maybe one day we'll do like a trip. We did a Patriot trip once. We should do another one. We did it to the Bourbon Trail. Maybe we'll go to Las Vegas for that race one day. A $20 cha-ching chat from Vondaful, who writes, K for Progress. K for Progress. I can't help but to join in on Cha-Ching Chat Friday. I now have a book series on Amazon titled Divine Text. Easiest way to find it, go to Vondaful, at Vondaful.shop. I guess that's on Instagram, maybe, at Vondaful.shop. Vondaful, thank you so much for the $20 Cha-Ching Chat. That is very sweet. I appreciate it, and I appreciate your support for my progressional run. Sorry, I read them. Look, I read them as they're written. That's my I don't want to edit anybody, so I just read it as it's written. All right. So Mark Kelly was on. Oh my God. Wow. Hold on. I'm not complaining about the generosity, but hold on. Oh wow, look at this one. A $50 cha-ching chat from Mrs. Shanboulder. Mark, your show, loving it. Please give a shout out to my brilliant brother and his book Chain Reaction. Oh, his book, Chain Reaction by Sean Connors. AtomicGarageMovement.com or Amazon.com. Well, for $50, we pull up the website. So give me a second, ladies and gentlemen, while I go to AtomicGarageMovement.com and show you her brother-in-law's book, Chain Reaction. There. Oh, it looks like some kind of, it's an edutainment novel. What's an edutainment novel? That sounds fun. The Atomic Garage shop. Check our merch line. They have merch line. I don't have a question. See, this is great. Available as an ebook, in print, or as an audio drama. Ooh, this is great. Nuclear energy is the safest, cleanest, and most powerful source of energy on Earth. That's all true. Nuclear energy is possibly the most abused, misused, and misunderstood scientific discovery in history. Also true. Okay, great. I love this. Maybe I'll get a copy. Hey, thank you so much for your cha-ching chat. We really appreciate it. And good luck to your brother-in-law. Hopefully he'll sell a whole boatload of copies. All right, so Mark Kelly, one of the seditious six who's pushing for the military to ignore orders from their commanders if they just don't like it. He was on Morning Joe with Joe Scarborough and Mika Brzezinski trying to defend his horrible position. Listen to this.
Yeah. They would be violating their oath if they followed illegal orders.
And I guess, Senator, members of the military, what is your advice to them if they come across something that seems confusing?
I think they need to talk to their leadership. Talk to their commanding officer about it, and tell your commanding officer why you think this may be illegal. There are lawyers within the military, the Judge Advocate General Corps. You can have a conversation, with somebody who understands the law, and there's always the option of you review the UCMJ with your leadership and you explain to somebody why you think this may not be lawful.
All right. That is horrible advice, by the way. That is horrible advice. We do not want our military men and women stopping on the battlefield or stopping on the ship or stopping wherever they are and saying, whoa. Thank you for the order, commanding officer, but I would like to meet with you privately because I have some questions and concerns about the legality of this order. We don't have time for that. Military men and women who join the military, who sign up for military service, they're not going in with a lawyer. They don't get legal representation every time they're told to do something. That's not part of the program. That's not part of the process. You go in, you dedicate your time, you dedicate your life, you sacrifice for your country. You say that you will obey the orders. You pledge to obey the orders and to protect this great nation. And you don't say, but before I do, let me get with my legal counsel and see if this order is something I should actually follow. You just follow it. You can't have everybody, because you know what's going to happen. The lawyers are going to jump on this. Every personal injury attorney right now is trying to come up with some kind of case where they could sue the government because somebody in the military, their client in the military, defied an order that they thought was illegal or immoral. That's the next thing that's going to, I kid you not, I know a lot of lawyers. This is what they do. They see an opening like this. Mark Kelly and the Seditious Six, they've given lawyers an opening to go out and try to find people in the military who will sue the government because they believe their orders were illegal. And it's going to gum up the works, and it's going to make a lot of lawyers a lot of money, and it's going to make the United States of America a lot weaker. But they don't care because the Democrats hate President Donald Trump. They hate President Donald Trump so much that they're willing to put their credibility, if they had any, on the line, so that they can try to, harm him and his really powerful military in any way, shape, or form. As Caroline Levitt rightly pointed out yesterday, I mean, ever since Donald Trump and Pete Hegseth came into office, respectively in the Oval Office and at the War Department, ever since then, people have been flocking to the military, running to the military to sign up. Enlistment is up 100% overall in every branch. Every branch, they're over 100%. Some they're up close to 200%. Because Donald Trump has shown that there's strong leadership in the military. There is intelligent leadership in the military. And if you sign up, you'll be taken care of, and you won't be used for police activities. You'll be used to fight and win wars. You'll be trained at a level of lethality unseen ever before in history. And you will only be asked to do something that is legal, lawful, and necessary to protect your fellow Americans. And we're going to keep you as safe as humanly possible. That is the job. It comes through training, technology, funding, and the right orders. And Donald Trump is going to give the right orders to the right people at the right time. That's why that's why there were military men and women, generations of fighters. I was a Marine. My grandpa was a Marine. My father was a Marine. All of us were Marines. I don't want my kid to go into the Marine Corps. Why not? Joe Biden's the president. I don't feel safe. I don't feel safe with the leadership. The commander-in-chief, Joe Biden, was not fit to command the world's greatest fighting force. And so there were men and women who were urging their kids not to go into the military because they did not trust Joe Biden to keep their kids safe. That doesn't happen anymore. Now you say you want to join the military, people are like, go sign up quick. Sign up right now. Sign up right now, because Donald Trump is making the military great again, along with the country. So that is exactly what's happening. And that is why it's so dangerous to have these people now arguing back and forth, saying that these people can have their own say. Now, Donald Trump, of course, went on Truth Social and said that this was sedition, and he said it was punishable by death. And so what did the media do? Did they say, well, we should Donald Trump's really mad at these people, maybe they did something wrong? They go, no, Donald Trump is wishing for these people to be killed. And what did the Democrats do? Look at this, the seditious six. They called the police on the president of the United States. Can you believe this? Democrats, they're so ridiculous. They called the police. I mean, how do you even make that phone call? I don't even know if it's a call or if it's an email or whatever. If it's like if they page them. They called the Capitol Police after Trump, quote unquote, death threats. House Democratic leadership said Thursday they've been in touch with the U.S. Capitol Police and the House Sergeant at Arms to protect a group of lawmakers after President Trump appeared to suggest that their comments were punishable by death. Why it matters. Trump considerably ramped up the severity of his rhetoric against Democrats on Thursday after a group of military veterans serving in Congress released a video encouraging service members to resist unlawful orders. This is really bad and dangerous to our country. Their words cannot be allowed to stand, Trump said in a post on Truth Social. Seditious behavior from traitors. Lock them up. In a follow-up post, he added, seditious behavior punishable by death. Now, here's what they're saying. We unequivocally condemn Donald Trump's disgusting and dangerous death threats. House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries, Minority Whip Catherine Clark, and Democrat Caucus Chair Pete Aguilar said in a joint statement. We have been in contact with the House Sergeant at Arms and the United States Capitol Police to ensure the safety of these members and their families, they added. The three leaders called on Trump to immediately delete these unhinged social media posts and recant his violent rhetoric before he gets someone killed, and for Republicans to forcefully condemn his comments. A group of House and Senate Democrats who served in the military or National Guard, blah, 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 blah. So we know all about that. And then we talk about Caroline Leavitt. So basically, Axios is reporting now that these people called the police and said Donald Trump is making death threats against us. And Axios reported it. How do you report something? How do you take any of this seriously? How do you look at these Democrats? By the way, Democrats in the last 4 years have tried to assassinate President Donald Trump twice, hitting him in the side of the head once, almost killing him, if it weren't for a quick maneuver and the grace of God. They have assassinated Charlie Kirk live in front of thousands of people. And there have been countless other death threats against President Donald Trump, countless other doxing incidents and swatting incidents against Republicans. Marjorie Taylor Greene's been swatted, what'd she say, like 9 times? Our buddy Cat Turd constantly in some kind of turmoil based on the Democrats who disagree with him and his opinions. It is violence is a tactic of the political left. They're the ones that smash buildings and burn down police cars and riot in the streets. They're the ones that have bricks deposited on the ground so that they can conveniently pick them up and hurl them at passersby. They're the ones who are politically violent. And now when Donald Trump says, hey, this is illegal behavior and it's sedition, and sedition is punishable by death, which is all true, they call the cops on him? What happened to defunding the police? What happened to cops are bad? What happened to, oh, we don't need more cops. You know what we need? We need more psychological help. We need more psychiatrists, social workers. What happened to all that? Don't call the Capitol Police, call the Capitol social workers, because you want to defund the police. Donald Trump wanted more police in DC and you said no. Now all of a sudden you've got him on the phone because Donald Trump threatened you? How do you get to be such a ridiculous person in such a ridiculous party? And it'd be different if it was one or two, but it ain't. It is multiple. It's not just one, it's the whole party. Jasmine Crockett, Mark Kelly, the list goes on and on. The idiot who just announced he's running for governor. Was it Eric Swalwell? Eric Swalwell wants to run for governor of California, as if Californians didn't have it bad enough. Jamie Raskin in Maryland, who said he's considering running for president in 2028. All of these people, they say the most heinous and ridiculous things. They're violent. They hate President Donald Trump. Their whole lives, their whole agenda is simply hating President Donald Trump. And yet somehow, some way, they just continue to prosper. It really is just kind of bizarre. And I'm going to be honest with you, it is a little not shocking per se, but it is something that it just baffles me. It's the whole party has been taken. There's not one person left in the party that is sensible. And I know that because 98 Democrats just voted against condemning the horrors of socialism. 98 Democrats just refused to condemn the evils of socialism. There's one more story I wanted to talk about, and it was Donald Trump and Mamdani coming to the White House today at 3:00 today. Oh, of course. I was trying to, you know what? I knew that there were cha-ching chats coming and I was trying to get the story in quick, but let's get to the cha-ching chats. Pat, 1977 on Rumble, drops a $5 cha-ching chat and says, yo, Mark, great show. Do you have a block of rooms anywhere for out-of-state people at the Ho Ho Hold'em event? We do not have a block of rooms, but there are rooms available. First of all, thank you so much for bringing up the Ho Ho Hold'em event. It's 2 weeks from now. It's 2 weeks from yesterday. And tickets are selling fast. The VIK tickets were down to 2. I told you don't sleep on this, right? We had 6, we're down to 2. So if you want to sit at the VIK live stream table with me, with Hannah, with a bunch of other fantastic people, if you want that VIK prize pack, if you want the extra drink tickets, if you want the live stream experience as you compete for the $1,000 cash prize, 2 tickets remain for that table. Now we do have regular single ticket tables at the regular tables, and there's a handful of those left as well. We're down to 6 tables. We had 8. 2 full tables have been sold, and these other 6 are going to go fast. So if you have not yet purchased your table, and that's a great way to do it because you get a discount, go to www.kskids.com. It's December 4th, Best Bet Monument Road here in Jacksonville, Florida. And if you're coming from out of town, first of all, thank you so much. There are 2 hotels. The Hampton Inn, Jacksonville East Regency Square is right down there. I mean, it's literally within walking distance. It's apparently... looks like it's 104. Let me check the availability for the night of the poker tournament. If you're coming in, let's say you come in on Thursday and you stay to Friday, you're looking at $95. Holy cow, that's less than $100. $95 for a room at the Hampton Inn there. And I think maybe a little bit more luxurious. Across the street is the Courtyard by Marriott. They're both walking distance from the event, and it looks like this one is $109. So for like $100, I mean, we don't even need to give you a room rate because the room rates are so great. So I would urge you to do both of those. They're right down the road from Best Bet Monument Road. You can find them online, and of course, get your tickets. Register right now at the Ho Ho Hold'em website. It's www.kskids.com. I believe there's a link in the show notes, so you can go to the show notes and you can get there easily. It is a blast. It is so much fun. And it is, I'm going to be honest with you, here's another thing. when I run for Congress next year, or I'm running now, but when I win, when I defeat John Rutherford in the primary, and when we become the next congressperson from Florida's 5th congressional district, I'm going to be honest with you, it's up in the air whether we'll be able to hold this event next year or not, just because of timing, dates, Congress is in session. So it's really one of those things where I would not miss out on this chance this year. Don't put it off for next year because things are constantly changing. And if I'm in Washington, D.C. next year, guess where I won't be on December 4th? Playing poker at the charity poker tournament. So definitely don't put it off till next year. Get your ticket this year and join us for an amazing event. And thank you so much for that cha-ching chat. I really appreciate that. We got another one coming in here. Look at this. Oh, it's New York Installer again. New York Installer writes back, he's got another $5 cha-ching chat. That's fantastic. And he writes, thanks again for, I can't read it. Oh, thanks, Mark. My name is John. The website was iglausa.com. You out uglu. No idea what that was. Love the show. And I was born in New York and moved to the great state of Texas. I thought I put in IGLA US. Hang on. Now I'm iglusa.com. Yeah. IGL. Oh, AUSA. IGLA USA. My bad. Okay. Oh, here we go. This looks way better. The best car security device available on the market. All right. I hope this is you. John the Installer. Let's see if it's in Texas. Oh, there's nothing near me. All right. Well, anyway, we'll take your word for it. John, thank you again for all your generosity. We really do appreciate it. I apologize for typing in the wrong website address. All right, let's get back to Donald Trump and Zohran Mamdani. In about an hour, a little less, Zohran Mamdani is going to be in the Oval Office, and he's going to be sitting down with President Donald Trump. And President Donald Trump was asked about this meeting coming up by Brian Kilmeade, our good buddy Brian Kilmeade. Here's what he said.
What do you expect when you meet him face to face?
Well, I don't really know. He's got a different philosophy. He's a little bit different. I give him a lot of credit for the run. He did a successful run, and we all know that runs are not easy. But I think we'll get along fine. Look, we're looking for the same thing. We want to make New York strong, and, you know, there's such a different philosophy. But I'll let you know. I'll let you know over the next year, Brian, okay?
So I know sometimes when you go to sit down with you, Mr. President, sometimes you'll whip out a list and you'll say, did you say this about me in the past? I know Piers Morgan has said that. This is something that might be on your list that he said about you after he won, by the way. Cut 3.
This is not only how we stop Trump, it's how we stop the next one. So Donald Trump, since I know you're watching, I have 4 words for you. Turn the volume up.
So it was a little bit of an in your face when a time he should usually, after a victory speech, be kind of magnanimous. Your thoughts on it?
Well, I was hitting him a little hard, too, in all fairness. I was, hard to be totally friendly toward the opponent. You know, his opponent wasn't. He had some interesting opponents. But he ran a good race. I don't know exactly what he means by turn the volume up, because turn the volume up, he has to be careful when he says that to me. But nobody really was able. I said, what does that mean, turn the volume up? Does that mean let's go at it?
Yeah.
I don't think so. I mean, he was very nice in calling, as you know, and we're going to have a meeting. I guess we meet at 3 o'clock today. And I think it's going to be quite civil. We'll find out. You'll be the first to know.
I know. We'll see it at 3 o'clock. Will you open up the doors to the press after?
I think so. I mean, it's fine with me. I would think so. He's a politician, so I don't think he has a problem. The one thing I noticed about politicians, the answer is always yes, other than with Biden.
So one thing he did say,
Biden didn't open up doors to his brain.
There's one thing he does say that probably won't be great. He says, I never go back to the days when Eric Adams would go on national television and open the door for the NYPD handling civil immigration enforcement. He doesn't expect cooperation between the NYPD and ICE. That's got to be disappointing.
Well, we're going to be talking about it. I just can't imagine that where you have hardcore criminals. This is about criminals. You know, you can make a case the other way, having to do with others. But, you know, when you have a murderer, when you have a known murderer, a known rapist, a known whatever it is, drug dealers all over the place. I can't imagine that anybody wants to keep them, but I'll have that discussion with them today, absolutely.
Yeah, and we'll be watching, and we will bring you probably the latest on that coming up on our next episode, which may be this weekend. Look, I mean, if Donald Trump's going to have a meeting with Zohran Mamdani 3 o'clock in the afternoon on Friday, the least I can do is report on it over the weekend. And we've been reporting on stuff throughout the weekends. Last weekend, we had a special weekend edition because of the Marjorie Taylor Greene kerfuffle, which, man, doesn't that seem like ages ago? And it was really just like a week ago. Well, not even. It wasn't even a week ago. I guess it was last Friday night, Donald Trump wrote that Truth Social post where he basically unendorsed Marjorie Taylor Greene. And it's got so much happens in a week in this administration that it just seems so quick. Also, I would like to point out on Monday, we're doing something very special. I put together a special edition of our Podcast Profits Pro event called Podcast by Christmas. A lot of people don't realize this, but Christmas is not the time to slow down. It's the time to speed up. Christmas is not the time to put something off. It's the time to pick it up and run with it. The holiday season, there's so many great opportunities for you to get ahead of the competition. And I will be doubling down on content creation and production this holiday season. And I urge other people to as well. And that's why when people say, oh, are you going to do one of those Podcast Profit live events again? Yes. But this time we're urging you to not let up. We want you to have a podcast by Christmas. So on Monday night, I'm hosting a live event. It starts at 7 p.m. Eastern time. It's a free live event, Podcast by Christmas. Steal the podcast blueprint to launch your show by December and create cash flow by New Year's. This is how I've created all my podcasts, all my properties, all my YouTube channels, all my online content. This is how I use it to make offers and sell products. And this is how you can too, quickly by Christmas and be ready and prepared by New Year's. When everyone else is just starting, you'll already be off and running. And the best way to get ahead is to push on the gas when your opponents are hitting the brake. Well, your opponents are hitting the brake right now, so you got to step on the gas and go, go, go. And that's why Monday night we're going to be doing Podcast by Christmas. If you're interested, go to podcastprofitspro.com. Podcastprofitspro.com. There should be a link somewhere in the description of this video as well, or in the show notes. In the meantime, thank you so much to everybody for your generous cha-ching chats. Thank you to everybody for all of your well wishes and your thoughts and prayers. Thank you to everybody just for coming in and watching. Thanks to everybody who subscribed. And if you haven't yet subscribed, man, go ahead and do it now. Because we're going to keep, like I said, we're doubling down on the content. We're bringing you more and more, not less and less. And you don't want to miss any of it because we are in one of the most important times in our life. We are teetering on the brink every single day. And it's up to all of us to work together, to learn together, to inspire each other together, and to stay informed so that we can fight together to save the Republic. And the jazz music will play us out. Go to podcastprofitspro.com right now. Join me Monday. Have a great weekend.